And now we reach the top 6 Doctor Who seasons ever made. At this point in time, we have covered almost every Doctor. We haven't started the 9th Doctor yet because he's only got the one series and it's in this top 6. And we've still got series from the 3rd, 4th, 7th and 10th Doctors to cover. So all the other Doctors have been covered by now. So we now enter the top 6 seasons of Doctor Who. 3 classic seasons and 3 revival seasons or series. What's next? We've got 2 from the 1970s, 1 from the 1980s, and 3 from the 2000s. What's next? Number 6. Number 6 is the greatest season of Doctor Who from the 1980s, Season 26. Sylvester McCoy's 3rd and final series as the 7th Doctor, where he was going to do a 4th, but this was also the final series of the classic run. Also, shout out to Matt Moyer from the Universals, as this is his favourite season of the entire show. And, you know what, if the show wasn't going to get another series for 15 and a half years, they would end on a magnificent season. Okay, I'm not that fond of Ghost Light. I thought that was an okay episode, okay story. But Battlefield is brilliant. Curse of Fenric and Survival are amazing. And the character dynamic between the 7th Doctor and Ace is an all-time high as far as companion and Doctor relationships go. This is the closest a classic series would be to what the revival would become a decade and a half later. It is the test run for a revival that would come a decade and a half later that they didn't know they were preparing for. Season 26 is so fucking good. It is also the near culmination of the Andrew Cartmel master plan, though he probably had plans for this in season 27, and if he stayed as script editor for the 8th Doctor, not Paul McGann, the originally planned 8th Doctor, or who would have been the originally planned 8th Doctor. Richard Griffiths, who plays Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter films, was a suggestion to play the 8th Doctor, and probably would have been the most likely candidate in the early 90s. I'm not sure if Andrew Cartmel would have stayed to have script to run his era, but I'm sure season 27 would have at least wrapped up the Cartmel master plan stuff. If not, I'm sure season 27 would have wrapped up the Cartmel master plan stuff. But season 26 puts this into full force, and it is brilliant. And so good. The 7th Doctor is at his best character-wise in the show. Ace is at her absolute best. The character interactions are amazing. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart comes back for one last TV story, excluding the Sarah Jane Adventures. And the Master, played by Anthony Ainley, finally comes back after 3 years to face off against the 7th Doctor. Woo! And what a great villain to have in the final episodes. Oh, not to mention, Fenric is a magnificent new evil villain. For all this talk about Russell T Davies' new era featuring some of the greatest villains the Doctor has ever faced with Neil Patrick Harris and Jinx Monsoon's character, Curse of Fenric has one of those most dangerous villains the Doctor has ever met. Curse of Fenric did that sooner with Fenric. I would say Curse of Fenric would be a perfect season finale if Survival wasn't the perfect show finale. This final story is the perfect way to wrap off classic Doctor Who. And it set the stage for what would come 15 and a half years later. Season 26 rounds off the classic era in style. Number 5. So we're at top 5 territory now, and next on the list is a season that practically saved the show. I know, ironic, we were just talking about about the final season of the classic show, and now we're on to one that's basically ensured its continuation. And that is, of course, Season 7. Jon Pertwee's first season as the Third Doctor, airing in 1970, season 26, 1989, and was the first season to air in colour. It is also the first season with a reduced number of episodes, after the previous 6 seasons had between 39 and 45 episodes each. This one has 25 and is the first of the seasons that will have between 20 and 28 episodes a season. That would run up until season 21. Season 7 is almost perfect. This is an almost perfect way to start off not just the Jon Pertwee era, but Doctor Who in the 1970s as a whole. It is fantastic. Spearhead from Space still remains one of the greatest stories of the Pertwee era, and one of the strongest Doctor's opening stories. In fact, after 11th Hour, it's probably the second best. Power comes third. Nope, I take that back. Christmas Invasion, then Power, and then Woman Who Fell to Earth. And it is an incredible start for the Third Doctor. And whilst I would put Inferno as my third favourite story of the Third Doctor's era, it deserves its placement as the favourite Third Doctor story in the Doctor Who 2023 poll. Doctor Into Silurians is also really bloody good. Ambassadors of Death is good, but it isn't quite as good as the other ones. Maybe because one issue I do have with this season is, apart from Spearhead, all of them are 7 parts. Did they all need to be 7 parts? I'm going to say Inferno is probably one that uses it the best. Then Silurians, and then Ambassadors really didn't have to be 7 parts. That one could easily have been a 5 or 6-parter. Same for Silurians, but I think Ambassadors really needed to be cut down. Inferno works pretty well as a 7-parter though. That's a really good one. Luckily, Spearhead from Space is a 4-parter. It's the same problem with Season 5. Besides Tomb of the Cybermen, which was 4 parts, all of that one was 6 parts. But not all of them needed to be 6 parts. In fact, only a few of them, I would say, deserve to be 6 parts. I would say Enemy of the World definitely would be, but some of the other ones I think could have been cut down to 4 or 5. Episodes lengths aside, and Ambassador of Death maybe not being quite as good as the other 3 stories, Season 7 is an absolute masterpiece in television. Just like Season 1, except better. And it holds 2 of the most popular and most beloved Jon Pertwee episodes in the same season. Is it downhill from here? Well, not really, because like I said before, Jon Pertwee's era was pretty damn consistent. The next 3 especially. So, yes, this is just kick-starting the elements that would retain throughout the remainder of the era. It may be the best season, but the era has still a lot more to deliver. We have a lot more to enjoy from Jon Pertwee's era, and it all started with this brilliant first season for him and the 70s. And if that wasn't good enough, this decade would hold the golden era of Classic Who, as I mentioned, with Tom Baker's first 3 seasons. One of which is still yet to come, by the way. But yeah, Season 7, absolutely magnificent season. And what's quite interesting is, I've just talked about the season that introduces the Autons in Spearhead from Space, but it's not the best season to feature the Autons in the opening story of the season they appear in the opening story of. And it's also a season that saved the show. And before we talked about this season, we talked about Season 26, the final season for Classic Who, and the season that set the stage for the revival. Maybe not intentionally, but looking back on it, it's the one that's closest to it, and would be the last hurrah of the show, excluding the TV movie and a few bonus material, until 2005. Also, I have completed the tenures for every single Doctor apart from Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, and David Tennant's 10th Doctor, who still have 1 or 2 seasons each left, and one other Doctor who hasn't had their era begin yet. Well, I think it's about time we changed that. Number 4. And at long last, we come to Christopher fucking fantastic Eccleston. Series 1, or Season 27, the one and only series to star Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, and the first of the revived series, the first series in 15 and a half years. Also, a quick shout out to Jerry the Meerkat from the Whoniversal's Discord server. Yes, the Meerkat is not part of his real name, but Jerry probably is. Anyway, so this is Jerry's favourite series as well, and I'm giving him a shout out for that. He's also a very nice guy, and agreed with my decision to put the Wilderness Years as an honourable mention, as opposed to counting it as a full season, but still kind of sort of giving it a nod anyway. This is absolutely fantastic. Series 1 is amazing. Okay, it's not entirely perfect. I mean, we got Long Game and Boomtown in here. They're not the best episodes in the world, but if you thought I gushed over season 1 of how to start a television series, then this is how you start a television series from the 60s through 80s for the 2000s audience and kickstart the new run of the show that is continuing to this day. No wonder Russell T Davies has been brought back to oversee the next era of the show, because he did such a good job launching the new series to begin with. Series 1 is absolutely fantastic. Rose is a great way to introduce the story. End of the World's a great follow-on. Not as good, but still quite great. Unquiet Dead's a really great scary horror sci-fi story. And it's the first time we see a historical character since Time Lash. And we all know how good that story was, don't we? Aliens of London and World War III is a really good political story, and The Long Game's alright, really, as is Boomtown. But the greatest episodes of Series 1, without question, are Dalek, Father's Day, The Empty Child, and The Doctor Dances, which are all really great episodes. Fantastic, amazing, outstanding even. Dalek is such an outstanding episode. Father's Day is a perfect character-driven episode for Rose. And The Empty Child and The Doctor Dance is a really great, scary World War II episode with a very happy ending. But it all comes down to the last 2 episodes. Bad Wolf and The Parting of the Ways, in my opinion, is the greatest new series story after The Day of the Doctor. This 2-parter is one of the greatest stories made. It does so much so well, especially Parting of the Ways. It is a 45-minute roller coaster of heartbreak and emotion, as well as action, suspense, amazement, fantastic effects, the Daleks at their greatest, and the Ninth Doctor's finest hour. Well, 45 minutes, but his finest and final 45 minutes. This is perfect modern Doctor Who. Series 1 has the greatest series finale. In fact, it's one of the greatest stories of the whole show. After The Day of the Doctor and Remembrance of the Daleks, I will go as far to say it is the 3rd best story of the show. This series is amazing. Or should that be fantastic? And even though he only did 1 series, Christopher Eccleston and the Ninth Doctor leave their legacy on the show in extremely high regard. Also, the Doctor-Rose relationship is better in this series than in Series 2. Though Rose may be slightly bitchier. I also prefer Mickey and Jackie in Series 2 than to this one, but hey ho, character development across this series makes them better in the next series, so yeah. And whilst I mentioned the Daleks were at their absolute best in Parting of the Ways, massive shout out to how Dalek reintroduced them to the series after decades of being considered a joke. Fan-bloody-tastic. What a fantastic way to start modern Doctor Who. But the peak of modern Doctor Who will still yet to come. Number 3. Now, back in number 16, I said that that was the only placement that shared the number with the season that was placed there, season 16. Well, if I was doing overall season numbers, that is correct. However, if I was doing the new series' numbers on their own, 1 to 13 as opposed to being 27 to 39, then we've got a second one. And that is, of course, Series 3. Series 3 or Season 29, starring David Tennant in his second series as the 10th Doctor, and released in 2007, 2006 for The Runaway Bride, also 2005 for Series 1. And it's also Rusty Davies' third as the showrunner of his first era. Also, this is my friend Ollie Pajak's favourite series. And this was the beginning of the greatest period of Doctor Who. Sorry, 70s Golden Era fans, but for me, the mid to late 2000s were the greatest period of Doctor Who. And this series and its successive series would be the peak of Doctor Who. This is also where my love of the show, which started off when I jumped in halfway through Series 2, and then went back to watch Series 1 and the first half of Series 2 on their repeats. And I became a fan with those, but this is the series that solidified it. So this has a very special place in my heart. But even going back years later now, it still holds up extremely well. There's not even a bad story in this season. I think we finally got to a series which doesn't even have a mediocre story. All of them are, at worst, very good. The Runaway Bride is a very good Christmas episode. Smith and Jones is a great opener. Shakespeare Code, despite being written by A. Turf, is a very good, is a brilliant episode. Gridlock is amazing. The Dalek two-part, The Daleks Manhattan Evolution of the Daleks, is also very good. Even if it's the weakest story of the season, it's still very good. Lazarus Experiment, very good, even if it's got a bit of dated CG, but hey-ho. 42 is a thrill ride, that is great. And then we get to the final run of stories this season. And this is something that it shares with Series 4. We have a sprint of amazing final stories this season. Human Nature and the Family of Blood, oh my god, that's so good. Blink, best 10th Doctor story. Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords, which I would now bump the score from a 9 to a 10 out of 10 for, because the first two episodes are so good. Last of the Time Lords kind of buckles under its own weight, but it's still possibly a 10 out of 10 story. I would do the same with that one as I did with Storm of Jenny's End. It's such a good story. Utopia especially is such a good one. If I was doing episodes individually, that would probably be my second favourite. But story-wise, it would be Human Nature, Family of Blood. Blink is still my favourite. And there's bloody good reason for that. This is an iconic episode. It's the episode that proves Doctor Light or Companion Light stories can work. In the case of the latter, for the first time since The Deadly Assassin, and in the case of the former, probably the first time ever. And it introduces the Weeping Angels. It's iconic. It's brilliant. It's amazing. It's so good. And that pretty much sums up Series 3 as a whole. Series 3 is brilliant. Oh yes! Oh, this is so good! Series 3. Also, Martha Jones is brilliant. She's a brilliant companion. Green Rajman does a fantastic performance in the role, and David Tennant ups his performance as the Doctor. And now he's out of a happy-go-lucky relationship with Rose, he can now explore more elements of the character that he didn't do in Series 2. Also, Tennant exceeds as Mr. John Smith in Human Nature and Family of Blood. That is so great. Series 3 is the modern Season 12. We have entered a new golden era for the show. And now, the stage is set. The battle begins for the title of the greatest season of Doctor Who. We now have 2 seasons left. One from Tom Baker's golden era as the 4th Doctor, with Philip Hinchcliffe as producer, and one featuring David Tennant's 10th Doctor during Russell T Davies' first run as showrunner. Both of them are the best of the best of the best from their respective runs of classic and revived Who. But which one will come up top, and which one will come second and claim the silver medal? Number 2. Number 2 is Season 13. Season 13, Tom Baker's second and greatest season, and the greatest season of classic Who. Every single story of this season is a solid or near perfect, if not outright perfect, 9 or 10 out of 10. except the second worst Tom Baker story, Planet of Evil. And that's why this season ends up being number 2 instead of maybe having a bit bigger chance of being number 1. It's because there is one absolutely god-awful, terrible, trash, shit, awful story amongst 5 magnificent ones. Planet of Evil is absolute shit. However, Terror of the Zygons and The Seeds of Death are bloody brilliant, and we have 3 amazing 10 out of 10s back to back. Pyramids of Mars, the best episode of the season, The Android Invasion, which is super underrated, and The Brain of Morbius, which is brilliant. These 3 stories are awesome. Also, 2 of them are rewrites by the script editor. Well, certainly Brain of Morbius anyway. Pyramids of Mars I think as well, I'm not entirely sure, but certainly Brain of Morbius. Being the only stories of the Tom Baker era to actually have good rewrites by the scriptwriter instead of ones that let them down. Not to mention, Terry Nation's second and only other non-Dalek story script is also really bloody good, and Robert Banks Stewart sandwiches this great season with 2 really great, brilliant and fun stories. And they're both really great Earthbound sci-fi, a little bit of horror in their stories as well. And yeah, this is a very horror-centric episode, but it also uses other elements to its strengths. I like the different types of horror stories that they're doing, like Loch Ness Monster and creatures around Loch Ness, a strange alien world, antimatter creatures, and whatever it does to those, like turning those people into wolf creatures or something. Egyptian horror, android replica horror, duplicate horrors, horror, Frankenstein-esque creature horror, and The Thing inspiration-esque horror, but with a little bit of Little Shop of Horrors in there. Season 13 may be a very horror-centric season, and like the same could be said for the Hinchcliffe era as a whole, but it does it so well, except for Planet of Evil, which fucking sucks. It's just a shame there's this big giant pile of shit right in the middle of all this gold and silver and bronze and how much, all the good stuff, and you've got this big giant pile of shit taking up 1/6 of the room. 1/6 of the room. It's a shame, but the rest of it is fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Easily Doctor Who's greatest classic season. But for the title of the greatest season of the whole show, there's one more that did it better. We have now covered every single Doctor, apart from the 10th Doctor, who has one more series left. We now travel forwards in time to the years 2007 to 2010 for the greatest Doctor Who season of all time. Number 1. And that is, of course, Series 4. Series 4, Season 30. David Tennant's 3rd series as the 10th Doctor, airing from 2007 from Voyage of the Damned to 2010 with The End of Time Part 2, including all 5 specials from the 2008 to 2010 specials, as well as the 13 episode series run and Voyage of the Damned. Oh, also, Season 13 was 1975 to 76, by the way. Series 4. This is it. This is peak Doctor Who. Full stop. Tom Baker's seasons 12 to 14 may be peak Classic Who, and David Tennant's series 3 and 4 were the peak of modern Doctor Who. And, you know what? It's also the peak of Doctor Who, full stop. Sorry, Classic Who fans, but Series 4 is so good. Some of this, admittedly, is again nostalgia and personal subjective opinions, but it still holds up as one of the greatest seasons of all time, if not the greatest season of all time, even 15 years later. This is so fucking amazing. There is several amazing episodes in this series. This is the one with the most 10 out of 10s in any season, and I think that's what pushes this one to #1 spot above Season 13, along the fact that Season 13 has Planet of Evil, which is absolutely terrible, and there is no episode in Series 4, or even Series 3, or heck, even some of the previous ones I've just talked about, that have a story as bad as that one. I don't think we've had a story as bad as that one since ages. Yeah, even some of the weaker ones, even some of the fans hate, I don't dislike as much. I don't think I've disliked an episode for a long time as much as Planet of Evil in terms of this ranking. It's been a while. And even some of the ones that many fans don't like that I also don't like, I don't think I dislike as much as that one. So that's why Season 13 goes second. Because Planet of Evil is one of the worst episodes ever made, and Series 4 has even more fantastic episodes than Season 13 does. Like, I'm just going to say the episodes now. Voyage of the Damned, Planet of the Ood, and every episode from Science in the Library to The Stolen Earth. That's Science in the Library and Forest of the Dead, Midnight, Turn Left, and The Stolen Earth, Journey's End. Journey's End I don't think is great of an episode on its own, but with Stolen Earth, the story is really great. Also, Waters of Mars from the specials. All of those are instant 10 out of 10 stories. And apart from Journey's End, instant 10 out of 10 individual episodes. But we're not just here to talk about the 10 out of 10s, we've also got quite a few 9s here. Partners in Crime, Fires of Pompeii, Sontaran Stratagem, Poison Sky. Those are some brilliant episodes as well. Also, I gave Unicorn and the Wasp a 7 out of 10 last time, but I think I used to really enjoy that one as much, around the 9 out of 10 territory as well, so I think I might bump that one back up to 8. So that one's also a really good one. I will also throw in The Next Doctor and The End of Time, parts 1 and 2 in that category as well. The only one I don't think is that great is The Doctor's Daughter. I think that's an okay one. It's weaker than anything in Series 3, but this season has so many good ones that it tops Series 3 anyways. Planet of the Dead is also simply good, but by the time the specials were airing, it's clear that the majority of all the greatness had gone into Series 4. But not all of it, because, like I said, we have The Waters of Mars as well. I also mentioned at the start I was going to include the animated stories in their respective series, and I will quickly mention I forgot to mention the Infinite Quest for Series 3. That was a good one as well for Series 3. Dreamland, it's good story, not so good animation. So yeah, decent story, not so great animation for that. Infinite Quest is the better animated story, certainly animation-wise. Well, it's made by Cosgrove Hall, who animated The Invasion's missing 2 episodes and Scream of the Shalka. So, of course it looks amazing. But yeah, the animated specials are good. Overall, Series 4 is packed full of hit after hit after hit, with the exception of The Doctor's Daughter, which is just okay. And if I include the specials, okay, same for Planet of the Dead, I guess, but I like that a bit more, so yeah. But Next Doctor and The End of Time, I wouldn't say are hits, but they're good, very good, for the most parts. But Voyage of the Damned to The Poison Sky, and Unicorn and the Wasp to Journey's End, and The Waters of Mars are hits, and Science in the Library to The Stolen Earth is the best run of individual episodes, and the Science in the Library 2-parter to The Stolen Earth 2-parter are the best run of serials for a Doctor Who. Mr. TARDIS called it the sprint in his ranking of the new series, and yeah, like Series 3, the series sprints to the finish with nothing but amazing episodes. But I think there's even more episodes in this series than Series 3 that are also as good, that push it above Series 3 and Season 13 to give it its crown as the greatest ever season of Doctor Who. Aided by a couple of specials following this series, one of which is another outstanding story, and we have the greatest run of Doctor Who televised stories. From Christmas 2007 to New Year's Day 2010, the end of the 10th Doctor's era was spectacular, and wrapped up this era of the show in style. Series 4, Season 30 is my favourite series of Doctor Who. Later this year, David Tennant is returning as the 14th Doctor, alongside Catherine Tate, who is returning as Donna Noble, in a new era produced by Russell T Davies, returning for his second term as showrunner. After that, at the end of this year and going into next year, we will have a new 15th Doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa, and Millie Gibson will play companion Ruby Sunday. Series 14 is due to air next year. It's also season 40 of the show overall, and whilst I do have my concerns that they may go back to the heyday of Series 4 and try to relive some of that magic, it also looks like there's going to be quite a few other elements from Doctor Who's past and future in the upcoming 60th specials, and I am really looking forward to seeing what Series 14 brings, especially after what we've been shown from the production and behind the scenes so far. Over the last 60.5 years, we've had 39 seasons of various degrees of quality, but every single one of them has had stories that have been very good, at the least. And I think all of them have had at least ones that are not that great. Apart from Season 7 and Series 3, those ones are pretty much almost, don't even have any mediocre ones, let alone bad. But it's ones like Series 4, Season 13, Series 3, Season 7, Series 1, Season 26 that just have so many good ones in there, that's why they're so high. And then we've got ones like Season 17, Season 24, Season 19 and Series 7, which have a lot of not so very good ones, which is why they're low down. And then I've got my ones in the middle where there's a lot of good, but I think the seasons overall could be a little bit better in places, or there's ones I prefer more and ones I think are not as good as. So that is my list, and I will do my one and only read-through, personal read-through of the ranking before we head off, and I'll leave you with the last text version of it on the way out. So, to recap the list, number 39, Season 17, including Shada. Number 38, Season 19. Number 37, Series 7, or Season 33, including the 2011-13 Christmas specials and The Day of the Doctor. Number 36, Season 24. Number 35, Season 18. Number 34, Season 20. Number 33, Season 23, aka The Trial of a Time Lord. Number 32, Series 8, Season 34. Number 39, Series 9, Season 35. Number 30, Season 11. Number 29, Series 12, Season 38. Number 28, Season 15. Number 27, Season 22. Number 26, Series 13, Season 39, aka Flux, and the 2022 specials. Number 25, Series 11, or Season 37. Number 24, Series 6, or Season 32. Number 23, Season 9. Number 22, Season 3. Number 21, Season 8. Number 20, Season 1. Number 19, Season 2. Number 18, Season 10. Number 17, Series 10, or Season 36. Number 16, Season 16, aka The Key to Time. Number 15, Season 6. Number 14, Series 2, or Season 28. Number 13, Season 21. Number 12, Season 25. Number 11, Season 4. Number 10, Series 5, or Season 31. Number 9, Season 5. Number 8, Season 14. Number 7, Season 12. Number 6, Season 26. Number 5, Season 7. Number 4, Series 1, or Season 27. Number 3, Series 3, Season 29, and The Infinite Quest. Number 2, Season 13. And number 1, Series 4, Season 30. Plus Voyage of the Damned and the 2008-10 specials. And honourable mention, The Wilderness Years. Specifically the TV movie. Well, that's it. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching my Doctor Who 39 season ranking mini-series videos. I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Don't forget to comment down in the videos below your rankings of each Doctor Who season, or if that's too daunting or if you haven't seen every single season, just do the new series if you feel uncomfortable with that, or whichever series you have seen. No, not everybody's seen every new series either, so yeah, just comment down below your season rankings of the ones you've seen. If you've seen all of them, fantastic, comment down below. Even if you haven't seen every single story, if you've seen enough in one season, then put that one down. If you find it too difficult to do all of them, then just do the ones you've seen, or if you want to stay just new series specific, do that one. I don't know if anyone will want to do classic series specific. If you want to do that, be my guest. Do as much as you like, but that's all your opinions. That's all up to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video mini-series. In 6 months' time, Doctor Who will return for its 60th anniversary specials with the 14th Doctor. And after that, we will have a new 15th Doctor. And next year, a new series. Series 14, Season 40. The adventure continues. And I'll see you guys next time, whatever may entail. Until then, goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel.